Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook. Thanks for checking out this video. Today we're going to be talking about using the HX Stomp for bass. Now, this video wasn't originally in my schedule of videos or my list of videos. Typically I have a running list of things I want to talk about or videos I want to make and all of that, and this was not on that list. Basically, how this came about is that I sat down earlier today to go over some songs on bass for an upcoming gig that I have in a couple weeks. I know that the HX Stomp has a lot of bass features and a lot of bass sounds or like amps and models and whatnot, things that are geared towards bass. And I haven't checked any of those out, so I thought I'd check them out, make a preset, and see how it sounds. I've been really happy with the sounds and the flexibility and the features of the HX Stomp when it comes to bass in my brief time kind of checking it out within that context. So I thought I'd sit down, run you guys through the preset that I made, just kind of how I was thinking about it, how I was using some of the features and whatnot. I also use a feature in the HX Stomp that I haven't used before, something that works well for bass or guitar. I was really happy with the results of that. I'll show you guys how I set that up, and we'll hear how it sounds. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so I've got the HX Stomp hooked up to HX Edit on my computer. I'll show you guys there. It's a lot easier to see what I'm doing, how I have things set up. So we'll work from left to right here. Right here we've got our main input. I've got this input impedance to 1 meg. I haven't really messed around with this too much, but I find that the higher the input impedance, kind of the brighter it is, and it gives it some a little more top end, a little more openness. The first thing I'm hitting is this. This is the new compressor that was in the latest update, the Rochester Compressor. I don't really know much about this compressor, but the reason why I chose it is because of a couple of different reasons. One, we've got a variable ratio, attack, release, and this mix, which I think most of the compressors in the HX Stomp have the mix, which is amazing. But with this, I feel like because of these certain features, I'm able to dial in this compressor to be kind of transparent, to feel really natural, but to give me a little more sustain. Typically with bass, I'm looking for a slightly slower attack and a little longer release. Now, this compressor obviously will go super, super long. I don't need anything that long, but I kind of messed with it and found that this gave me a little bit more sustain. I would probably be even okay with raising this release a little bit more too. And then I have the mix dialed to 60%. What this does basically is gives me 60% compressed signal and 40% dry signal. I find that adjusting the mix, whether it's with guitar or bass, gives me just a really transparent sound, a really natural sound, but still kind of keeps things locked in with the compressor. So my next thing here after the compressor is this effects loop. And basically I have effects loop left is what I've chosen. And this is just a mono effects loop, right? You can do a stereo effects loop or send and return. And I just chose to do this mono. It just goes in and out right here on this path. And what I have is I have that hooked up to my trusty old TS-808 or my Tube Screamer. This is the newest thing that I haven't messed with. I've never used this before in any preset or anything. And I am really liking it on bass because of this mix control that is offered here on this effects loop, I have it dialed in at about 45%. Running parallel effects on bass is great because, especially with drives, because we can get our big natural low end that we get from our dry bass signal, and then we can blend in that gain or that dirt into our signal. Naturally, the Tube Screamer just cuts a lot of low end, has a real kind of mid-rangey type sound, which is a great sound, but for bass, I don't want to lose all that low end. So this was a way for me to get that overdrive, that kind of mid-pushed sound that the Tube Screamer does really well, but blend it into my natural bass sound. I was really happy with how this came out, and it's a really cool sound. We'll check that out in a little bit. So after that, currently I have an open slot. I kind of left this open just in case I wanted something that was a little more drive, that offered me, maybe more of a fuzz thing. I don't know that I'll need any kind of tone like that, but I left it open, and I just don't have anything that I need to put there. After that, I split into two paths. I'm not worried about the pans on these because I'm just running a mono bass signal. But on the top path, I have this 0 amp bass DI, which is like a Sans amp. I experimented with this as well as the kind of tube preamp that they offer. They're both great sounds. I liked being able to get a little bit more grit out of the 0 amp bass DI. It's not that much dirt. It's not really any dirt. It's just kind of a bit of saturation that I found that I really liked. And then on this bottom path down here, path B, I have an amp and a cab, and I have an Ampeg B15, which I think is like the flip top Ampeg, classic 115, kind of more of an old school Ampeg sound. For the gig that I'm doing and I'm using my P bass, it's the sound. It's a great sound, a great tone. The reason why I chose to blend these two together though is something that you find done a lot of times in studio. Where bass players are running a direct signal, kind of a DI signal, and they're running an amp. I chose to set it up that way to give me those extra harmonics, maybe the tiniest bit of grit that I would get from an amp sound, and then mix it with a DI sound. Right now, I'm using the Sans amp on path A. That's kind of that amp grit harmonic sound. Before that, when I tried the tube DI, it gave me a little bit cleaner sound. That was great. Both are good options. This is just where I kind of landed with it. After that, we're going to this mixer. This just, blends the signal back together. One thing to note here is that this is where we kind of can blend these two tones. We're blending the path A and the path B. With them both being centered, this acts as a kind of a true blend. So my main signal is path A with the Sans amp type model. I have that just at 0, and then I've blended in this amp sound. And it's, as you can see, it's just a little less. So both of these are making up a good portion of the sound. After that, I just threw a chorus on here. I don't even know if I'll use that or not. I just thought it would be cool to have some kind of modulation that I might use for a song or two. So as you can see, pretty straightforward, but trying to incorporate some of the things that HX Stomp can do and do really easily, like blending in a external overdrive pedal with my bass signal, and then also blending in a DI signal with an amp model. Obviously, if I were trying to get this tone live, with amps and without the HX Stomp, it would be really difficult. I would have to have some kind of blend pedal for my overdrive. I would have to use an amp and then a DI. It would just be a lot of things. It can get really complicated really quickly. So hopefully this will be a great solution. All right, so let's take a listen to some of the sounds. First, I'll just give you guys my basic kind of main sound, and then I'll go through and show you how I incorporated the foot switches into the different settings and stuff. Here's just my basic sound. Now, as you remember, that's going through the compressor, then the Sans amp on top, and the Ampeg B15 on the bottom. On my first foot switch, I assign that to the effects loop. That has the tube screamer running through it, and has currently right now the blend is set at about 45%. Here's what that sounds like. I love being able to run the tube screamer that way, just giving the blend and being able to adjust, more gain or less gain or more treble from the tube screamer, but still retain the low end and the bass from my dry signal. On the second foot switch, I have the Sans amp that's in path A. That allows me to switch that on and off. The reason for doing this is that with the Sans amp off, I just get a really dry kind of, more direct signal from the bass. I'll show you guys what it sounds like with the Sans amp on, and then I'll switch it off. Either way, we're still hearing the Ampeg B15 with that, but it does give it a little more direct sound when I switch the Sans amp off. Here it is with the Sans amp on. Sans amp off. Now, lastly, I have the chorus at the very end. I don't even know if I'll use that. I just thought it'd be cool to have some sort of modulation. Here's what that sounds like. All right, so there you have it. That's kind of my pretty straightforward bass setup for the HX Stomp. These things make it super convenient to dial in some really cool, kind of creative bass tones with just a single pedal or two, as I did using the Tube Screamer. But the ability to kind of incorporate it with some other stuff and incorporate it into a rig in a variety of different ways is something that I love about the HX Stomp. As always, thanks for checking out this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Lots of HX Stomp videos, as well as other videos including vlogs, other pedal demos, guitar tips and tricks, all kinds of stuff. So check those out if you haven't. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. And I guess that's it for today. Until next time, I'll see you out there.